Okay. Now I have you, Becky. I would like you to introduce yourself, what you do, and most importantly, where people can meet you. Where can they reach out to you to ask important questions that really bounce them when it comes to their kids, social services, and all that. So, guys, I have Becky here. She is well rooted into the social services and welfare of us Africans in Sweden. So go ahead, Becky.
Thank you so much, Joyce, for inviting me to your program. My name is Becky. I'm a mother. I have three children. I've lived in Sweden for 13 years. I have a bachelor degree in social work, specialized in international social work from the University of Gävle, Sweden. I have a master's degree in social work, specialized in interventions in childhood from the University of Jönköping. I've worked in Swedish healthcare for 10 good years. I have a child on the autism spectrum with intellectual disability. I'm the founder of the Ubuntu Pan-African Home and Abroad Family Cycle, where I meet with so many parents, not only from Sweden, from Denmark, from all European countries, and I'm always willing to help my people because we need to understand how this system works. If not, we'll be failing, we'll be losing our way. We need to understand that it's not working for us. I became a social worker because I moved to Sweden 13 years ago with a special need child. And the way I was treated, my negative experience with social workers led to me becoming a social worker and inspired me to say, no other child, whether a neurotypical child or a neurodivergent loved one should go through it, especially my people from Africa. Then as I started this advocacy, I get to meet another group of people that I've never really thought about it. That was our women who were getting married to white men, our brothers who got married to white women, and their own struggles was what baffled me. This was something that I wasn't prepared for. So I said, okay, this is something I need to go through. So I got to know more. Some of these women that journalists, even in Kenya, are working with me, or that Burundi, I've been interviewed so many times by other jokers because they too have been wondering what is the outcome of these women. So
I
I'll be willing to
understand.
answer your question.
I do understand. We have a couple of questions that we will go through. And what strikes me a lot on your videos, since I'm a Kenyan, there is a video that you posted on TikTok that you were asking, why do East African women get involved with these men who are apparently psychos? I'm probably one of them, but mine is not psycho yet. So I was very much, I was very much into, okay, I need to talk and get more to understand. As much as I am with a Swedish person, I have no idea more about Swedish culture and system. I'm still integrating. So as a person who's been here 17 years, what made you, 13 years, sorry, what made you analyze or pick out the East African women? Is it that you get a lot of cases from East African women, or why did you come up with that analyzation?
I came up with that analysis. I was getting women from Kenya more, Burundi, Uganda, and the pattern was coming from East Africa. So I said, okay, let me research about it. I started digging deeper and more in this direction. I got a couple of women from Nigeria but they quickly run away from this man. They were very more aware of the culture, what was they were getting into, than our sisters from East Africa. Then from the men, I was getting men from Gambia who were in contact with me now. That is horrible. These women made my life a living hell. So I started seeing the pattern. So I told them that, no, we need to talk about these things. NGOs need to talk about it. So when I made the video went viral. And then journalists started contacting me. The biggest East African radio, Jeff, contacted me and said, no, we have been working on this issue. So we tried to push the issue, but the embassy has been blocking. the most European embassies, because some editors now are trying to be indifferent. Editors who were so open, we did a lot of interviews. Even I gave them some women that they really interviewed. These women talked about their struggles, and it was really. But now I've given my consent. I've even asked them to use my picture, my credentials, but they said it's like the embassy said it is too hard to put those information out there. Yeah.
From your experience or from your analyzation, would you say that the East African women, they lack some kind of at-home lessons, so they just dip themselves into a certain society, expecting them to accommodate them? Could you say that, or is just people just these ladies, they don't accept the fact that whatever they are subjected to is not a normal life? What would you say? Is it about our culture, or is it about the system here? What is playing a bigger role?
The bigger role boils down to the colonial heritage of our
Mhm,
people.
mhm,
When we look at the whole issue of thinking that the white man is the savior, and the way to escape poverty is to attach to the white man, because, to be honest, most of these women are literate.
mhm, mhm.
Yes, these women are very educated women. When I talk to them, they're just as educated like you.
Yeah.
So I thought that they were not versed with what they were getting into. They just assumed that they're going to get it rosy. Because when I get to meet with other organizations in Kenya and in Uganda that are in contact with me, they say if you go to any hair salon, everywhere they're telling you get yourself a Muzungu, get yourself a white man. So it was another way of, let me leave this slavery and then get attached to the slave master. So
Mhm,
that will help me escape. So, but what they failed to like do was they never made precautions that things do change, because they will tell you that the relationship was okay when we were in the talking stage. This guy came down all the way to marry me. But as soon as I came here, I saw a different version of this person. And they were not like ready for this version, the cultural differences, the financial differences that was going to, like, the power structure that you're going to be meeting, the traditions you're going to be like encountering. They were not just prepared, so it just like take them on the way, so they just get like kind of confused. But what actually sometimes puzzles me is they will tell me, sis, I've met another person. I say, and who is this person? It's still a white man. So it's like they don't like learn the streets very well. But Nigerian sister will never call me and say, sis, you know, I
yeah.
finally left the women's shelter after this guy had me beaten. I would never again have gotten my paper. I was just waiting for my permanent, never again go back there. But our Kenyan sister will say, you know, when they start talking to me and they're talking to me very slowly and quietly, I say, are you okay? Are you okay? Sis, I didn't want him to hear. I'm pregnant again. I said, good job. Who is this person? He said, white man. I said, okay. Just tell me when it's not going.
Why do I feel guilty for my sisters? Why do I feel guilty? I feel guilty as charged. But do you have like an organization where you collect these women and you help them? Because for me, it's deep rooted in psychological issues. Do you educate them to understand themselves, to realize who they are deep inside and what they're capable of doing for themselves before they fall into another trap? Do you have somewhere, and where is it, where they can reach out and feel like, before we get into our questions, so people know that I can be in trouble, but I can reach out to Becky, or I can go to this place where Becky is, and they teach this and that and that, and they help women in this way, or men, African,
Yes,
let's say. Yeah. Do you
yeah,
have that?
we have the we have the Ubuntu Pan Africa Diaspora Home and Abroad Family Circle. This is a circle. These are the numbers we have from all over European countries. Women who have been through the same issue. We always encourage them. We always tell them like, you need. Sometimes I write and tell them, okay, contact the foreign affairs ministry, okay, try to at least write something, don't just accept. Sometimes we even go as far as even contributing. So somebody can pay for the placement of the child so they can start seeing the child. Sometimes we do try to talk to them because some of them are at the point of trying to commit suicide. They really feel bad. The number of this group is plus 46 72 166 4460. And when you're a member of this group, you can always contact me privately if you don't want to put your story there. Some people like sharing what they have seen and things like that, but they always contact me privately, and I'll tell them, okay, when I have time, we'll talk about it. Then they will tell, I'll be going to court tomorrow. They have taken the child and they prefer to give it to this old man. I don't know how this man is not even able to take care of himself. This man drinks a lot, but they prefer him since it's a European, it's a Belgian, it's a German, it's a Swedish. So we need, and I cannot allow, they say I was seeing my children, and we have families that have not seen, mothers that, or men that have not seen their children for years. So we talk to them.
Okay. I'll get the information, guys, and put it onto the description so you guys can see and reach out. Whoever has a burning question or incident, Becky's here to assist. Now, let's get deep into the main question. So, question one. Do you believe Swedish social services system is truly equipped to understand and support African families, or does it often misinterpret culture norms as dysfunction? Do you think the system understands our culture?
I think that we cannot say it from a point of ignorance, because during my education to become a social worker, cultural competence. To say you are a multicultural society, you need to accept cultures or traditions that you think is not harmful. So if we have been talking about African children highly represented in the foster care statistics, but yet we as social workers in Sweden from African background that have a mastery of the culture are not being employed. So it now makes us skeptical to see that it's not coming from a place of labeling these parents or condemning their parenting style. It's you just using this as a pretext to remove their children. Because there are cases where we expect transparency, that you call at least a third party or a second opinion that understand where this family is coming from, yet you don't do it. So they are so quick to remove African children. And African parents still feel like they'll be supported, they'll be protected, they'll be like going to get the help. And then by the time they get into the system, they don't get this help and they end up losing their children.
What in a case where, because we cannot say all African parents, they treat children well or right. We have cases where indeed the child is being mistreated or subjected to some some things that are not normal for a kid. At that point, would you say that the system is still unfair, or the system is right towards this family?
My point is the same treatment across boards, because if a child from a Swedish background is put in harm's way, don't get me wrong, if a child is put in harm's way, and if the allegation is something that you cannot carry any intervention with the child in the biological home, let me say drugs is going on, sexual abuse is going on, or what type of really horrible abuse, the child needs to be removed before you carry out any intervention. Let it be the same for everybody.
I see.
Yeah. If there's something that you can look at it, is it coming from the fact that there's first generation migrants, they need to work a little bit longer. So it's not like they really need to leave this child unattended, but the family income is kind of tight. It can be a first generation migrant, just move, because majority of the children that they remove are children who just migrated, like people who are just 3 years, 2 years, 5, 6 years. As a social worker, you don't need to not understand that these people are still coming in with their culture, want to be strict with their children. The entire reason why they migrated here was for greener pasture, to give their children the best life. So
Yeah.
if the children came here and they realized that it was more of a laissez-faire, you can go out, come back 12, 11 in the night, hang out with your teenage friends out. And the mother is trying to be like, no, you have to do this, or you have to clean your room, or you have to do this. It's something to send them for a parental course to say, you know what, you need not to be so strict with
Yeah.
with your parenting style. You need to attach in a proper way. And then looking at the attachment style, what do you call a healthy attachment style? We African, our tradition is not hugging a child every time and say you're el, but we love our children. We love them back and forward. So it's the same love shown
Yeah.
in a different way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so sometimes when I see this kind of complaint coming to my desk, it's so ridiculous that you just hiding behind the culture blind approach to remove a child for just no time reasons. They don't hug the child, they don't say love their child, they ask a child of 10 years to clean the room, the child is sucking the finger, the child was left shopping mall unattended. You need to understand, are we empowering them? They have to learn the language. It's not easy to integrate. They have to go to school. And in Sweden, it's not like integration is rosy. You have to force yourself to integrate. Yes, they have not made platforms, though they have their index that I don't know what they come out with their statistics, always claiming that when it comes to integration, we are topping. But the truth is, it's not easy to learn this language. If you don't know the language, you might not get a job. Irrespective of how educated you are, even some of us speaking the language, writing the language, we are professionals, they will never put me in certain positions as a social worker. It is not going to happen because of my skin color. I will still have not changed. They don't. So it's difficult for the parents. Then they have to struggle with immigration formality. It's not also easy in that part. Each time you think you're almost at the end of the journey, they tell you they're going to withdraw your resident permit if you don't meet up this criteria. So you see the family is under so much pressure. And that is what the social worker should be looking and trying to see how this family can cope, especially if the child is a child with a special needs. What can we do? How can we help them? How can you explain your laws to these families who are moving here? Because they don't know.
Just a quick question. So, like, if your case, you're from an African descent, and a case coming from an African family, do you get the case, or anybody else gets the case? Another question is, if somebody else from, let's say, another descent comes and takes the case, are they well educated about African culture and how to handle the African kids? Do they have this background? And if not, why are they in social services?
They do not have this background. They're in social services because they own their system. And this system was a multi-billion-dollar industry because some of these prisons, like the maximum security prisons, they have been privatized. Some of the women's shelter, they have been privatized. Some of the HV prisons have been privatized. Some of the CIS prison have been privatized. So it boils down to the fact that these guys operate like a cartel. So now, as a social worker, where do you see the children? How do you find them, and where do you meet them? It boils down to the school, to the community, to the playground. So you are bringing it to this organization and you get your own share. So it's not about the best of a child according to the United Nations Convention of the Child that they always put at the forefront. Article 3, or it's about Article 12 that talks about the participation, the view, or the opinion of the child, because often the children are trying to go back until a child cried or to pass out, but yet you don't listen to the voice of the child, so which means that there was no agency for that child. It was about you. Then it boils down to the conflict of interest. It's like a person selling coven will always be that somebody will die. So if you as a social worker, you're working with these privatized institutions, private prisons, definitely the more you send them there, the more you get more money.
So it's about keeping the fire going. It has the rail has to be going.
The easiest target is from our people, because you see the Arabs, to some extent, these people from Middle East have integrated themselves. You will see them in the Kassan, the social insurance. You see them in the social services right now. Since I've been advocating, they have brought them in, so many of them now. I think there's a meeting going on by 2 o'clock, and they brought them. So it looks like it was not a race thing. It was not power imbalance. You understand? Because we have been reporting, we've been reporting GO, the discrimination board, the lawyer against the state, the health inspection board, the patient board. All of them are on hot seats, and they're beginning to accept that these places are run by gangs. So now they will bring in somebody from the Middle East to make it look like, but this guy is a whitewash because he's still also a member of this thing. Is making his own money for your child. So that is why, when a child is even removed and the parents are doing everything right, but there's no time when that child will be repatriated, we call it repatriation time, back to the family. And then what again I notice is there's no intervention put in for the families. We talk about the holistic approach. Family interconnects. Family is a complex dynamic. We're born into a family if wishes were horses, beggars were rights. We don't get to choose our family. So if you think a child is left unattended, a child is not, there's a proper attachment style, when you remove the child, you work on the family unification. But that doesn't happen. There are families that have not seen their children for 4 years, for 6 years, I've not seen Emmanuel by desire for 5 years, and there's a special need young man. So it was just about the money. He's there every day, they're making their money. 8,000 a day, and you paint his autism like aggression, you label his behavior like non-cooperation, you stereotype everything about him, and then another autistic behavior is given the right intervention. So it's selective niceness. I know what I'm doing. I decide to treat this way, and I decide to put another intervention for people who look like these people this way. And our people, when you are saying it, they don't even talk, and then our leaders don't even care, the embassies don't even care, the foreign affairs don't even care. So we are the most easiest target, and that gives the reason why we are highly represented in the statistics.
I see. So we don't have people back to back us up. It's like you left, that's up to you. It's quite saddening, actually. So the next question is, have you ever felt that your professional judgment was questioned or undermined because of your ethnicity?
Yes. Before I became a social worker, that was my driving force to become a social worker, because when we moved to Sweden, I already knew, because Emmanuel's father was a doctor. So I knew when Emmanuel was born that he could speak, and then he stopped speaking. That was when he regressed. So intellectually, he was not doing well. You need to teach him something over and over. He could throw tantrums. He could not really handle toileting. So when we moved to Sweden, there was this Språk introduction where they received children, so their language should come up to a certain level before they're reintegrated into the mainstream school. So immediately I told the headmaster that cannot really meet up because he has autism. Because we thought when he was young, we thought he was tonsillitis, because he stopped speaking the 1 or 2 words that he had till when he was 6 again, he started speaking. But I've noticed that each time we have a meeting, the psychologist was there, the psychiatrist was there, the disability caseworker was there, or the school was there. I tried to tell them how we used to handle the situation. All I get was giggling, was laughing at me, like, who is this one to talking? And why he was sentenced is because the medication he was using was taking a toll on him. He had a problem, which is very common among people on the autism spectrum, that was falling asleep and staying asleep. We've tried all types of natural methods. We even decided, okay, we can use the heavy duvet, the blanket. So they started with all kinds of medication like Rigom, Terrelin, Abilify, Olanzapine. So the dentist complained that the Terrelin was making the jaw very tight. I also, as a mom, I noticed that he was twitching because he didn't live with us. He lived in a group home and attended a special high school since he was already 17. So during weekends, I would take him, he'll come, and we'll have the tradition of going to church. I saw my son regressing. Lacing his shoe was a problem. He was almost drilling out saliva. So when I took it up with the doctor told me she's not going to listen to me. She instead, when I was injecting Emmanuel suicidinol, claiming that my son had psychosis without even informing me. They went behind my back to look for a trustee for my son 5 good times, the same court that sentenced my son. So as a mom, you're always like, Africans are canning anything. Don't make do me over. Don't so it was something that they were in Vandalen. It's like an insult. Like, you have low IQ. Like, what can you really say? And that is
That's
where,
it's a very sad to dismiss a parent.
yeah.
It's very, very sad.
And
I mean, it's quite surprising to see that you are deep into the system and you can see the picture. You can actually leave it, and you come to another person like me who hasn't even experienced even bit of that at all. I feel like it's okay, it's fine, it's great, it's working, it's fine. Then I listen to you and I'm like, that's terrifying. It is terrifying. So especially myself, I know deep down, and this is I have a child, and it's very common. Even if we have children with white men, they belong to us.
yeah,
Especially when the problem starts to come,
yeah.
then it's us to be blamed, which is something I know. I live with that. My fear is your state now, your state where you cannot get access to your child. That is my fear.
And it's
If
very
anything
common.
happens.
It's very common because the system is a cover up. They just dump your child in the system. The social workers, I'm so ashamed about the behavior because it's not coming from a place of ignorance. Sweden has one of the best welfare country. It's a welfare state, because that the welfare is meant for their people, and people
Mhm.
who look like me and you are the collateral damage. They would dump your child there, as they've dumped them in this cease home, this prison. They're coming out, the neurotypical ones are coming out as criminals, they're shooting each other, they're coming as teen moms, they're coming as addicts. Then the ones with in need of extra support, neurodivergent ones like Emmanuel, they dump there. They're making their money, writing all kinds of horrible things. And you as a parent, each time you speak up, you're punished. You don't see the child again. Most of the parents who are telling me I've not seen my child for 5 years, for 6 years, for 7 years are the ones that try to speak up. You dare not talk when they talk. I mean, one of the group leader where Emmanuel lived told me that I will teach you a lesson. And by the time I'm done with you, you will know that UN is behind me, the system is behind me, and we own our system. Why do you have to take Emmanuel to a second opinion doctor to step down the medication? That was why my son was sentenced. They will come with all
Jesus.
kinds of motive. They will have meetings to make it look like, oh, we had a lot of meetings, but that meeting will be gaslighting you to make it look like you're not, they cannot cooperate with you. You're just having then trying to like micro your pain, micro invalidate your pain. You can't take somebody's child. This is a part of somebody, and then you lock up, and
Absolutely.
then you
Yeah.
want that person to still talk with you with some kind of begging you. This is the
Mhm.
entitlement of sweets. These people never trained themselves to meet black people who are intelligent.
Yeah.
They don't know how. As soon as a sweet knows that you're intelligent, they panic because they have never trained themselves. They've trained themselves to see Africans as slaves. So that's why they even ask you, babe, why are you worried? It's okay. Manuel has been locked up. But the same thing cannot happen to her for 1 week. I mean, they cannot lock a Swedish autistic young man in Kenya, in Cameroon, in Ghana for 2 hours. The embassy will shout. The entire white community, everybody will stand up. But now that the
Absolutely. Yeah.
thousands, yeah, now that hundreds of Africans that you've locked them up, they're experiencing regression, burnout, rashes, operant vomiting. They will commit suicide. Some are missing. We have not seen them. It's everybody just need to be like, it's just okay. Like I have trained myself. Like it's okay to torture these people. Selective niceness. I torture them, and they should be grateful that I am beating and belting them. I'm trying to like cure their autism. They should be stupid to believe that there's cure to autism. You see, they make you want to like accept. You have the Stockholm syndrome that it's
Mhm.
okay for the oppressor to oppress you, and you get attached to the oppressor and be kneeling and begging.
Wow. It's a really, really a sad thing to hear that the system can completely turn to one ethnicity and just try. I think it feels like they're just trying to um, clear, so they don't want certain ethnicity to benefit from the system. or it's like they're practicing their power over a certain group of people. That's how it actually seems out to me when
No,
you explain it.
for me, the Scandinavian welfare system was meant for their people. The selling of their weapons, bringing in of migrants was to use these migrants as the collateral damage. It was not meant for them to get any help.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something they have been doing as far as you can imagine, is rooted in the colonial history. So they are perfect in it. They will put all kinds of disciplinary mechanism that still works for them. We even have the Black Lives Matter leader that we contacted and they ghosted us. You have the Afro Civils claiming to be working for the well-being of African people, but then the government pays you. Who bites the good finger that pays them?
No
Our
one.
leaders our leaders still will not stand up for you. So they want migrants, but they don't want educated migrants. As a black woman, as intelligent as you are, you get problems. So much problems in Sweden. But you see, bringing somebody from Congo who doesn't have English as a first language, who cannot stand up and fight back, is the
Mm-hmm.
best customer. If somebody from Eritrea that can only speak Tingewiska or Amariska, that is really laid back, that will be the best customer. And then they
Mm-hmm.
understand the power of resilience. When they bring in these people, they bring in our people, they share them. Like right now, this is the human beings that are being trafficked from Congo to Sweden. And I have been seeing these cases coming. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to work with them. They say when they come, they separate them. And then they try to reduce your resilient factor so you don't get to meet with your people, so you don't get to know them. Before the next 3 years, your children have been removed. So when you see women that have removed their 10 children, their 8 children, the
Yeah.
UN in the refugee camp is picking people who have their customer and people who can easily not fight back.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
Well, in this case, where especially people from places like Congo or let's say these war countries in Africa, does the UN intervene at all,
they
or they're
don't
part of
care.
the system?
They don't even care. They are the ones even spearheading it. Because where were you coming from? From the refugee camp, the UN appointed that I should go to Sweden. Have you ever bothered to find out? I remember in 2015, back then I was building my gymnasium high school point to prepare to go to the university. Sweden took in a lot of migrants from Afghanistan. Have they ever bothered? The CNN was blowing their trumpet how Sweden is so generous, has taken in a lot of the ones that have been able to integrate themselves are the ones that are deporting now. The ones gymnasium logging, they are deporting them right now as we speak. The ones that were not able to integrate themselves just ended maybe in a selfie or going, you're the best customer because whatever they do to you, you are at their mercy. So the UN will never carry that type of research. And there are certain
Mm-hmm.
research topics in Swedish universities that is given to all of the universities as a celebrity package. If you try to carry that research topic, no matter how you try, I don't think you even have more than an E. I was
Mm-hmm.
laughing when I was at the University of Yavle. One Nigerian, my coursemate said, I want to research on integration because you've seen so many refugees in OMIL. These people are not getting any jobs. They're not able to integrate themselves. And nobody is asking the people you claim they took in, have them been able to integrate themselves? And because we had the same supervisor, the supervisor was not happy about it. I had a friend who was reading public health and told me that she wanted to research on intersectionality. We cannot say all of us are women then. You don't want to understand my struggles as a black woman, my health issue as a black woman, my
Yeah.
challenges meeting healthcare providers, my being my they said they don't they said she went through hell with the supervisors. Then I told her, why are you choosing those topics? Racism,
Mm-hmm.
microaggression, inclusion, integration, those topics, intersectionality, don't even touch it because they will give it to their universities to research and come out with a very clean slate. That is why they'll always refer you to go back to the UN and to write what they have left there about Sweden. So this abuse keep going and nobody is there to talk for our people because they have already put different mechanisms to cover the abuse. Go to the UN and read about Sweden. Oh my God, you think
Mm-hmm.
it's paradise on earth.
That's the thing. That's actually, I had a video about expectations, and I'm going to post it next. What people expect about Sweden, and then what they find in the ground, especially people from the African descent. We have a lot to think about before we expect about heaven on the other side, which
Do
is
you
good
think
to hear.
Do you think they will listen? Because sometimes I ask them, how long have you been here? 11 years. But didn't you know they were taking children and the listing will be labeled? No. And then it's kind of like our people too, we are also the issue. I don't want to blame our people, but we need to start, like, we need to be alert. We need to know our environment. If you tell a white woman that when you marry a black man from this particular place, this is what you should be expecting, they already put the mechanism if he starts behaving this way. But then you still see our women still come here. I see young girls still come here to marry white men who are beating them. Immediately
Mm.
they came, they were pregnant. I said, but why were you pregnant and you're pregnant with twins? So I said, you should have at least, did you want to know why this guy got married to you?
Yeah.
If they getting married to you, wanted just a company, did not want children, did not want this, did not. And she's like, I said, but we have been saying that when you're coming here, you need to understand, you cannot just come and start having babies. I said, oh, we'll remove your baby, just prepare you. You came with a daughter. I think 2 3 months time she'll be having a baby. They'll collect the baby because this guy is living very poorly. The house is so dirty. He cannot even climb the stairs upstairs, so it's not going to work. So the social worker is just there waiting for you to produce for them to fill it, and they'll use it to create jobs. And she doesn't still understand. She's just so happy posting and telling the friends she's married. So we want to please the other world. People
Yeah.
come and they want to bash me like, hey, just say what your child did to, until other parents are now opening up and say, sis, I'm in the same situation. The fact that they've not come for you, though that they will come for you, then I still see our women going
Yes.
to the social services to ask for help. Like, sis, are you for real? With your children, you want to go and tell them all these problems? Our women still separate with their partners and they're fighting. I said, make this thing more peacefully. Come out with
Mm.
a custody arrangement that works for the both of you. Don't bring them in, because you bring them in, it will only be chaos. And then I was
Mm.
still telling you that these people, when they come in, they try to break your resilient factor. If they think that the man is the man that will put up a huge deal of fight with them, they will support the woman. And as soon as they separate this relationship, they come in less than 2 months, will remove the children. You will see women still go there. There's a family in the UK, cannot count how many of them. Since my wife started that, I was this, I was that, the social told had to divorce me. We divorced. I went to the UK. Then one day I turned around, I saw my wife in the UK. They've taken all my 2 children. She's helped me. These children, they're all I have. So, and then the next woman again will be telling you that I'm going there. Every day I get this complaint. He said, I want to go and report my husband to the social. I say, you're playing with fire. They say, he who goes to the forest and fetch firewood will answer. You're inviting snake and lizard to your house. You're playing with fire. If there's a way you can
Yeah.
solve it, do it without involving them, because all your actions will be the ones that went to intimate partner violence, that will put place in women's shelter, end up leaving those places without their children. This is a woman coming from somebody that she loved, trusted for safety and everything, and this person turn around 360 degrees and start beating and start maltreating and start breaking and start acting in a particular way, seeking refuge to you. You're putting her under surveillance. You're complaining
Wow.
how she sits and cries. She doesn't attach well with the child. She's always very silent. But of course, this woman is coming from trauma. Then what they're writing is what the system buys. And then the next thing you know, you're leaving that place, they throw you out without the child. So you are the customer. You brought a customer there. You just open a window of opportunity for them to
For
come in.
them to continue the train has to continue, which is it's interesting. Now the third question, oh no, the fourth question: do you think African immigrants are disproportional, let's say, disproportionately targeted or surveilled by social services compared to other groups?
Yes, that I would say 110% yes.
Why so?
Why? Because the complaints that are coming is still the same.
Mm.
Like, there's lack of trust, which is a shame, because this is a profession that is supposed to create an atmosphere where your client can trust you and open up to you. But African parents They are not trusted. They're being targeted. I mean, their parenting style is being judged. Their food is being judged. Whatever thing they do is being labeled as a crime. Their emotions is being seen as violent, aggressive, instead of understanding that this is the way they express themselves. Everything about them is just like it's wrong, like they are wrong, which I think is not something that we should see that way. It's not something that we should see that way. If you say a mother should buy a swimming attire for the child, and she buys both the shorts and the shirt, and then bring it to school, and then you start thinking like, oh, she was supposed to bring just a pair of shorts, but now she has brought the pair of shorts and a complete set because she wants to be hiding the beating she beats the child. Would that child not still like undress in front of somebody when they are changing? See, so everything you do is labeled. Everything you do, you have a baby, a Kenyan lady have a baby with a very big birthmark. She even said they have a name, whether Mongolia or what they call it in their place. So she was telling them, and then she noticed that when the baby was sick, she was breastfeeding. They were spying her through the window, that like she was the one putting the birthmark. There's another lady. If you go to the sickle cell clinic in Lund, you weep. And so many of our sickle cell children are being raised in European homes and they're dying because of labeling. That is the sickle cell mothers in Malmo crying. That, Sister Becky, if you go to this hospital, you see children that you can separate their bones from their flesh. And all because you just feel that African mothers will not be able to take care of a sickle cell child, and then you remove the child and give to somebody who has no knowledge about sickle cell. Every day with this lady is fighting. The baby is not eating. Instead of going to see how you have referred the lady to the dietitian. The social worker is there in the doctor's appointment, and she's asking how. I said, okay, let's write a letter and ask, why is the curator in your doctor's appointment? Is he coming there to give you the support or coming there as surveillance? You get? Mm-hmm. So it's constant, like, these people are very dangerous. Like, okay, it's not the first time, it's not the second time. The majority of the complaints that I get is somebody is there watching. The way you drop your child in school, they talk to you, is different from the way a sweet or an Arabic person drops a child in school. They're talking. Your child cried in the shopping mall and complained that he wants Candice. I say, oh no, Candice is all on Fridays. They can call the police for you. Coming to school and the child is in the bad morning and is crying. The teacher starts like, a parent would tell me that the child was playing and had bruises. They will interview the husband in the morning, they interview the mother in the afternoon. But when the child is with them and happened to fall and have the same bruises, you ask them a question, they sit on their last nerves. So it's more surveillance. It's more like these people are dangerous. This narrative needs to stop, and it's so shameful that it's coming from the social services.
It's interesting. It's quite funny because I had my baby felt in the kindergarten twice, and I went blaster on the teachers. I went to really African. I was like, you cannot do this, and you're getting paid. I'm not going to allow this happen. And then they called my partner and they said I shouldn't be the one talking to them on the phone because I yell at them all the time when something happens to the kid. And I always tell, listen, I came from Africa. If something happens, you handle it the way it is right now. Here it is. I'm not going to say, oh, maybe it happened. Maybe it was like this. No, we are looking at it. My kid felt it in your hand. Now you don't want to talk to me because I will be a mother. I will act like an African mother. So that happened. And now I understand your point where they think the way we react immediately and there and then, it's not the right way. So that's quite surprising. Another thing I want to understand, this kind of treatment, because I would say I'm a first generation African with all the things in it, like the original package in Sweden. Yeah. Do they treat let's say the third, the fourth African generation, like in Sweden, the same?
They don't. I don't even see the second, the third generation. People just run away. I've not really seen our people who start migrating here during let's say the Rwanda genocides. People who came here as far back as occupying any spaces. We don't occupy any spaces, which means that either they come here and then move to the UK and move to Canada, to US, because what I'm seeing is parents contacting me from UK, Canada, and America say, "Thank God, Sister Becky, somebody is speaking up. I'm happy that I left that fucking place." I said, "What?" He said, "Yes, I ran away with my children." So you see, we are not there. The Arabics are there. The people from Middle East are there. We are not there. If you see a black man in your meeting, this person has just been coached to make it look like, oh, there was a black man among us, or there was, but we don't have that first generation that somebody can hint you and say this. So we don't have a platform. We don't have a base, and that's why we are the target, and they make sure we don't have the base. Because when most of the children coming out from these foster care statistics, they are not coming out as they're coming out weak adults. Adults that would take the next 10, 20 years to pick the pieces together. So how do you think our children will thrive? So we'll continuously be the targets. So this, if you look at Kingley, this is not a place for African. I have told my children that all of us will switch and study in English. That's why I decided I got a mission into Ostashon University to do the socionom. I said, no, enough. I'm going back to English. My daughter is in Essex University studying psychology, and I'm telling my son, you need to switch to English because we don't have a platform here. This place was not meant for us. We were the commodity here. We are the slave in this place. So we don't see the third generation. We don't see the older ones. No.
They've already gone. And the last question, Becky, is what is the most frustrating misconception Swedish society has about African communities, and how does that show up in the social work practice?
The most horrible misconception that is not even coming from a place of ignorant, though they want to pretend like it's ignorant, is the constant assumption that Africans don't know anything. Africans can never learn. Like, they're street people. They themselves say it. Africans cannot do me good. Like, an intervention that you would give to a Swedish mother that has not, is a dropout from secondary school, you would think that even a graduate cannot be able to do that intervention at home. Like, Africans cannot raise a special needs child. Africans can never be able to like act in a proper way. There always be violence, they'll be aggressive. You see, the constant labeling, constant judging, constant like putting them under surveillance, which finally I have seen not coming from a place of ignorance, coming from a place that's a way you can take advantage of them, because the parent you are saying that is aggressive, violent to the child, is changing your grandmother's diapers in the elderly home, and has been working there for the past 12 years and has never harmed any of your person. I've worked with persons who are even like profound more disability on the autism spectrum, really aggressive, more than my son. Because they're sweet, we pamper them, we pet them, we treat them like this. Then when you come to, you take my own child and lock up, and you want to pretend like I can never understand autism, I can never be able to help a man, despite the fact that I have an autistic school, a specialty school in Cameroon. I've worked in your healthcare for 10 years. I'm a social worker with a master's degree. So you are just trying to push this narrative out there, labeling these women, because majority of these women are working, and they're working as personal assistants. That's working in the in elderly home, so they can care for somebody else's child. They can care for your grandmothers. They can clean your shopping mall. They can have a hard time learning how you want them, quote unquote, to raise the children according to the civilized method of upbringing. That's a question mark.
So a question, according to the Swedish society, or let's put it in the social services system, what is their best standard of African person integrating into the system? What do they classify as, now you're an African who is fit to our standard of living? What is there to look into?
They don't really like see like an African fitting into what standard. The only African that fit into their standards is the African that doesn't attach with Africans. Like, you see, they will tell you, oh, this is Jello, or the former Black Lives leader that will sit there and insult Africa. That's the best African they like. If you're an African that you're critical and you're thinking, oh no, you're not. If you're this type of politicians that we don't know where you're coming from. You don't come to the grassroots. You don't talk to us. You see yourself as a civilized African, the one that is chosen among them. You are the one that are giving all the awards. Yes. But if you're African, then you're trying to be critical. Oh, irrespective of whether you have a PhD, you don't fit into their standards. Except you act as a whitewash or you have not decolonized your mentality, you still see yourself like they are the savior, the white savior tendency, then you can have a job even if you're not qualified for that job. And that's why you see people working in places where they have kept our children with no idea about the culture, our children's diagnosis. Sometimes they have the worst healthcare because you work with somebody that, because this person is loyal to you and is able to take your 125 kronas an hour, is working in a group facility with no idea about what is neurodivergent condition, it doesn't know the definition of autism, it doesn't know that autism is a broad spectrum and affects everybody differently. It doesn't have any idea of what it's doing. It's just look at the person and the person is using them to make their money. Or beat you beat, belt you belt, medicate you medicate, do that. That's the best definition of the African that is ready to sell out his own people, torture his own people. Yeah.
So you have to mentally, they consume you, they take you completely mentally. So you just belongs to them. Well, Becky, it was really, really great to talk to you. And I would like you to tell people the last thing you think and what advice would you give, especially our sisters? Of course, our brothers as well, but mostly the sisters get to be subjected to bad experience, I would think so. So what would you tell our sisters?
Yeah, I would like to tell them that for me, I'm not completely against interracial marriages, but you need to understand and be prepared for what you're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Know why this person has to go all his way to come and get married to you, wherever you are in Africa. Try to understand, is this man mentally stable? The assumption that every white man is just a white Jesus is not working. What am I getting into? The culture of these people. How long will I take to integrate myself? How long will I take to be financially stable? How do I navigate my way so I get my documents and don't get being tortured? Because it leaves you with a permanent scar. You can end up, I've seen some of our sisters are now addicts. People have their fetish about what actually are they getting married to? Are they getting married to your company? Are they fantasizing black bodies? Do they want some kind of a mixed children? What actually, they have a reason, or is it genuine love that this person just loves black women? So you need to understand. So don't just assume, because our women still think that it's like an African man getting married to you, that when we get married, the next thing people are expecting you to have a baby and you expect marriage to be. No, you need to understand that you're getting married to a different culture, tradition, norms, values, everything, and it might take some time. So you have to come, understand the place, learn, and be able to, like, how do I escape if it becomes tough? Because some of these women did not have a plan B or plan C. They just thought that it was a blessing meeting a man in Africa that decided to, like, take the next step, not knowing what they were getting into. So that's why I always say, look out for all these things, the behavior, how can you, like, not get scarred so you don't get traumatized after leaving this place.
Yeah. So to get educated, guys, that was amazing. I learned a lot, actually. And I'm not sure if I should say, we say, you pour cold water onto me. So I feel like there are so many things I need to get to know and learn about the system in Sweden, particularly now that I'm a mother. So I can be subjected to anything and everything. So it's very important for me to also open that book and see the red and the white side of social life in Sweden. Thank you so much, Becky.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you want to learn. You really want to, like, just not just come into the system, but know how to navigate yourself in the system. I love the spirit. So for those who want to, like, get in contact with us, the Ubuntu Pan-Africa Diaspora Home and Abroad, our number is +467216664460. I will also have a YouTube channel, Ubuntu Pan-African Diaspora Home and Abroad. I've not been able to post there because it's just too much. I'm trying to see if I can get my PhD. So I'm now studying the second master's degree. So it's really like, and I talk to a lot of parents. So many parents do contact me, so it's not easy. So, but just this number, get in touch with me so we can share these ideas together. We can build a very strong community, help our children and help our people. Thank you so much, Joyce. Thank you.
You're more welcome. I'm going to attach your channel anyways. Guys, I'm going to attach the channel and all the contact information. Do not suffer alone.
Yes.
And thank you, Becky. You have a
You're
great day.
welcome. Thank you. Wish you
Thank
the
you.
same.